Ladies and gentlemen, this bike right here might be the most pivotal and important bike that Yeti has produced in the last 10, 15, 20 years, maybe ever. It represents a departure from their long-standing SixFinity platform that they've been utilizing for over 10 years. And it also shows that they're not afraid to try something new in the pursuit of perfection. This is new Yeti LT. Grab a chair, grab a beverage, let's talk about it. Let's go over some of the frame highlights on the 2027 Yeti LT. This bike utilizes Yeti's SixFinity suspension platform that they have been using on their e-mountain bikes ever since the debut of the 160E. This frame utilizes their Turk series carbon. It has integrated frame storage with a Yeti storage frame bag, size-specific geometry and kinematics, a 29 to MX flip chip, as well as an MX slap chip for even slacker geometry. It has leverage rate adjustability with 15, 20, and 25% options, as well as interchangeable dropouts that can give you either a standard or long plus 10mm chainstay. This bike also utilizes a ZS4456 head tube that allows you to have a reach and angle adjust headset. To check out the geometry, go ahead and pause the video now. Before we talk about how this bike goes downhill, let's talk a little bit about how it pedals and how it climbs. I think one of the best things about this SixFinity platform is actually how well it pedals and how well it climbs. It is extremely supportive, and it has an insane amount of grip on loose and technical climbs. Even on like undulating, rough terrain, single track fire roads, it manages that stuff really well. Zero bob, super efficient. It's got to be one of the best pedaling platforms that I've ever seen, and obviously it's great. I mean, it's part of the reason why they used it on their e-bikes for years now. Might as well talk a little bit about why they went away from SixFinity. And I don't think there's anything wrong with SixFinity, but I think the opportunities that SixFinity presents as far as tunability goes it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. I mean, we're talking about the ability to change the progression of the shock with just a little chip, the ability to swap out a rear wheel, go from full 2.9 to mullet, the ability to change dropouts. I think that the tunability and the tailorability of this platform to suit your preferences as a rider is, one of the biggest benefits of this platform, which is the perfect segue to talk about how this bike goes downhill. I mean, it's an absolute machine. I first rode this bike out of the box with the plus 10 chainstay, which, it was so long. I feel like the front and rear wheel were in opposite zip codes. It was actually insane. But with that said, what it lacked in maneuverability, you're obviously going to gain in stability, and this thing was an absolute plow, and it really wanted to just absolutely devour technical terrain, and it had an insatiable appetite for speed, which was really cool. With that said, it wasn't really my style, so I swapped out the chainstay for the plus 0 dropout, and that was really much more my speed. It made the bike feel a lot more lively. It gave the bike a lot more of the cornering and handling characteristics that I personally prefer. I think the plus 10 would be nice if you were, a little bit of a taller person who maybe you are on the upper end of the large, size large, but maybe not so tall for the XL, but you prefer that kind of longer chainstay. But for me, I'm about 5'11". This is the size large, and I really like just the plus 0 chainstay here. Now, with that said, I have had the opportunity to also swap out the rear wheel and ride this thing in the mullet configuration. So right now I've got the 27.5 wheel on here, and that's just the flip chip right here where the seat stay attaches to the rocker link. And I think this is honestly my preferred configuration, and my previous enduro bike was the Yeti 165, so this felt super familiar to me. I really like how the bike corners with the smaller rear wheel. It's honestly didn't provide as much of a difference as most people would think, but it's definitely a noticeable difference. I honestly noticed more of a difference between the longer and the shorter chainstay swapping the dropouts than I did with swapping the rear wheel, which was pretty interesting. I did not expect that. With that said, in this position right here, it was really lively, and it cornered quite well. It was a little more fun to square up corners and, I was able to ride a mix of technical and flow trails, and I think that is kind of what this bike is all about. You know, at first I thought, wow, it's going to take me forever. It might take an hour to swap around all these things, but it actually probably took me less than 10 or 15 minutes to collectively swap out the dropouts and the flip chip and completely alter the riding characteristics of this machine, which I think is really cool. I mean, it's easily something you could do in the parking lot at the trailhead, the bike park, with just a couple of basic tools, 5 and a 6 mil and 8 mil to reset the transmission. I originally thought that maybe you'd have to, you know, have a different chain or swap out a couple links, but actually with the starting in the +10 chainstay configuration, I was able to put in the +0 dropout, reset the transmission, and off I was going. I mean, it was super cool how you could just change those couple things and you have a completely different riding bike than you did a handful of minutes ago. A little bit more about how this suspension platform performs. I mean, I would have to say it's the most well-rounded and, you know, maybe Goldilocks suspension platform I've maybe ever ridden. I mean, that has the balance between the suppleness off the top, the pedaling platform is super efficient, and it just feels bottomless. And the way that you can adjust the progression from a more linear to a more progressive, basically, you know, from it feeling like an absolute plow, devouring chunk, to a little more progressive and poppy, and a little bit more fun for me personally. I mean, I think that's what this bike is all about, and it was an absolute blast. I had a lot of fun tinkering with it, and I think that's really cool that Yeti did this instead of having two bikes like they used to, you know, with the SB160, SB165. Now you have multiple bikes, not even just two bikes, but multiple bikes in one because of the ability to tailor it to your preferences. So I think that's really cool. Turns it into a really well-rounded machine. You can set up a little bit more for efficiency, a little bit more for downhill, you know, park machine. And I think that's really cool. It's super fun. You know, we've only got a handful of rides on this thing. Descends like an absolute animal. It pedals quite well. Tons of grip on technical terrain, tons of grip on the climbs. Really nice, stiff rear end. It really is a confidence-inspiring machine, and I'm having a lot of fun riding it. And I can't wait to put more miles on this thing and really tell you guys more about it. So I think that'll do it for now. We truly do appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheerio.